Hello, this is Paladin Prepper. As promised, here's my after-action report on the building of the Top Bar Beehive. It's my opportunity to reveal mistakes I made in the process so that you absolutely don't make them yourself when you build your own Top Bar hive. With that said, let's get started. First of all, remember that it's the angle of the sides of the end pieces that will determine the angle of the actual sides when they're mounted. It is recommended that the sides of the Top Bar Beehive be 30 degrees. Therefore, when you begin marking the wood to cut out the end pieces of the hive, make sure the sides of that end piece are at 30 degrees. I'd say the easiest way to do that is to go to your local hardware store and buy a 30-60-90 right triangle. No need to overthink this thing or to reinvent the wheel here. The purchase will be worth it because you know you'll be making another Top Bar hive soon, to always have one available to put a swarm into when you catch one. You saw all the trouble I went through to align a 1x2 on one side of the hive. You'll remember I had to screw in a brace both inside and outside of the hive to make that correction. So for the sides, remember to use a solid 1x12 board so you can avoid the situation I had. When it came to the legs of the hive, I did not fully appreciate the implications of using the convenience of a 45-degree angle on my square. What did I learn? Do not choose a 45-degree angle for the legs out of convenience. Another significant item that was not completely thought out was the foresight to know that attaching the bottom screen to the inside of the hive interferes with the fake back. Here's a look at how McCartney Taylor attached the screen to the bottom of one of his Top Bar hives. Here's another point about the end boards. Remember to make your end boards a couple of inches higher than the sides. This will act as a stop and help keep the new top bars in place. Speaking of top bars, I entirely lucked out when cutting the top bars from a 1x4, which of course is really only a 1x3 3/4. Although I use this method for what I'm calling my McCartney Taylor hive, I learned a lot by buying and watching the 85-minute DVD from backyardhive.com. Their hive is a bit more detailed than a McCartney Taylor hive, and they use spacers between the bars to make more room on the honey end of the hive. But beyond that, their DVD also teaches concepts and ideas which inspire me to call what they do celestial beekeeping. By the way, I do not notch the ends of the top bars as some people do. I notice McCartney Taylor doesn't notch his, and his mantra is, keep it simple. Another thing I'll tell you is don't apply the wax to the top bars the way I did in my video, dripping it on the board. I discovered it's much neater and more efficient for you to drag the tip of the soldering iron down the middle of the top bar while gently pressing the wax to the iron. The melting wax will run down the soldering iron, resulting in a neat and uniform line of wax, as long as you adjust your drag speed to the rate of the melting wax. Another thing I learned, which became painfully obvious on my video, is do not attempt to start a cut with a jigsaw without a starter hole. It only damages the surface of the wood. When it comes to the hive tool, McCartney Taylor prefers using a bread knife instead of a hive tool. And as you can see, the knife I showed in my video is not long enough. So I may get a bread knife too, but Cat's Cradle and Prepper knew I had my eye on a really snazzy hive tool being sold by backyardhive.com, and I was very happy to receive it as my Father's Day gift. Well, that's about it. If I've left out any lessons learned from this project, please post them down below in the comment section. And by the way, I'm interested in knowing generally where you're from. So do me a favor and go ahead. Let me know what state you're from or what country. By the way, I'd like to take this opportunity to give a special shout out to my subscribers in Canada, Australia, the United Kingdom, Germany, Greece, Sweden, Mexico, the Philippines, Romania, New Zealand, and Kenya. Until next time, this is Paladin Prepper saying, take action. It gives you courage.